Hello, colleagues. Welcome to Salesforce United Community Tech Talk. Before we jump to the main part of the event, a few words about the organization. So, the event will be recorded and afterwards it will be published in Salesforce United YouTube channel. Also, I would like to encourage you to address all your questions to Q&A section, and at the end of the call, our speaker will respond to all of your questions. And also, the good news is that our speaker will choose the best question, and the the winner will get the prize from Salesforce United community. All right, I think that it's high time for us to jump to the main part. Yelena Ulyanova, our speaker, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. And today we will speak about Salesforce testing. I assume some of you joined the event because are familiar with the word Salesforce. Some are familiar with the word testing. And if you know both words, you have nothing to do here. So it's joke, don't drop. I hope it will be interesting for all of you. And actually, the purpose of this event is to grow interest in testing of different Salesforce applications within various Salesforce clouds, and to sow a third for QA experts to learn new technologies like Salesforce. And today we'll speak about general trends in IT, in Salesforce, and testing, and how they can be combined. So what skills are needed for QA who is going to test Salesforce applications and related projects? So let's start. And first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Elena, and I have more than 12 years in functional testing and experience in 13 production projects. Within these years, 6 years, I participate in testing Salesforce-related projects only. So different Salesforce clouds, integrations, and architectures. Um, Among them were short-term and long-term projects. The longest assignment is now 4 years with a project of multi-org and multi-cloud Salesforce architecture. Is based on health cloud domain. And except of production experience, I also coordinate and inspire the growth of expert in Salesforce testing within EPAM. So during my first project with Salesforce, I knew only that Salesforce is a CRM and actually learned this just before the interview. But have experience in functional testing and CRM, and this helped me to test the application. But there was no relative information about how to test, how to build relevant test strategy for Salesforce projects, what tool to use, and how better to automate testing. So I learn constantly, and I'm glad to share the experience and tips on how to start, how to test Salesforce project more effectively. So in EPAM, for these purposes, we have the testing in Salesforce mentoring program and testing in Salesforce community. And some information I would like to share with you also. I would like to start with a small spoiler. I'm going to tell about the IT trends, and one of the major trends nowadays is artificial intelligence and machine learning. It is starting to be used in all spheres, actually, including development. So, with a famous chat based on artificial intelligence, let's try to generate a piece of code for example, a contact emailing function using the Salesforce Apex. So here is the result of what we had generated from the artificial intelligence chat. But we are interested more on the disclaimer here. Understandable that it is needed to take away the responsibility for using this code, but anyway, it says it is not tested, so it might have some errors. And the question is, who and how should test the result of this work? In our case, of artificial intelligence. Let's speak about some global trends in IT. And the world nowadays is targeting to minimize efforts while developing software with increase of product quality. It is important today to maintain clients and market share as well as win new markets. For these purposes, we are speaking here about the reduced time to market. So how fast we can provide a new product to the market, how to minimize efforts while developing, and how to cut down uh, on the deficiency of highly skilled specialists. To get there, it is starting to be widely used. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and low code. So these are the major trends we are facing in IT nowadays. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on the IT sector in a number of ways. And one of the most notable effects has been a sudden and dramatic increase in demand of digital services, such as remote working, learning tools, cloud storage, and streaming services. And this has led to increased in demand for IT professionals as well. Additionally, businesses have to adjust their IT infrastructure to accommodate remote working, which has resulted in an increased focus on cybersecurity. And finally, the pandemic has resulted in a shift in consumer behavior. So more people now rely on online services to meet their needs. This has further increased demand for digital services and IT professionals. To overcome, these companies started to spend more for IT. And as we're working more with data transition, the major part for business expenses now is for security and data analytics. For workflow automation and low code, so these tools and techniques help to shorten time to market, to collaborate with our clients and to work effectively with them. We're speaking about collaboration solutions and CRM platforms. And also, we are speaking here about the artificial intelligence and machine learning to reduce efforts for development and operating. If we started to develop faster, we need also to test faster. And the standard testing flow, like requirements analysis, test documentation, design, testing, and test result analysis, all these steps should also be more effective, more automated, and be take less time to be fulfilled. So let's try to use an example, the chart, to find out if we really can use the artificial intelligence for our testing purposes. And here, as an example, I generated some test scenarios to verify some function, for example, in calculator. So this is a list of test cases. And here we also need to pay attention to the disclaimer that this is a good starting point, but we can also add some additional information to analyze more and to provide the more effective list of test scenarios. Let's start to speak about what is Salesforce and actually why we need to test it. So as software as a service, Salesforce provides a complete suite of products for sales, service, marketing, commerce, which help to grow relationships with customer and employees. So it's already a product. Why we need to test it after the Salesforce team? So it is already being tested. So Salesforce gives the possibility to use the standard features, like out of the box features. And we can use these features to create some business flows. So business flows and features as combination of standard and custom functionality for sure need to be correct, need to work correctly, and that's why they are needed to be tested. Let's check who can verify the functionality from the Salesforce perspective. The first role is Salesforce administrator. It is someone who is responsible for managing the Salesforce platform and ensuring that it's working optimally. They are in charge of implementing and configuring the features, as well as maintaining and troubleshooting it. So they also manage user accounts, roles, profiles, security, and data. And they are also responsible for providing some trainings for users and creating reports and dashboards. And to sum up, admin interacts with the business, analyzes data, and handle issues. Salesforce administrator need to check what was configured by him. The next person is Salesforce consultant. It is a professional who specializes in helping businesses to implement and customize the Salesforce platform. They have expertise in Salesforce development and customization, such as customizing Salesforce components and pages and integrating Salesforce with other applications. Salesforce consultants can create some custom code and objects and also have a deep understanding on Salesforce platform and the features, so they are able to provide some training, support, and advice to Salesforce users. So first of all, Salesforce consultants are those who communicate with business to find out the business requirements, to configure and to customize the Salesforce platform, and of course to check the result of this configuration and customization. And one more role is Salesforce tester. So Salesforce tester is a professional who specializes in testing applications built on Salesforce platform. They have experience with Salesforce testing tool and processes, such as creating test plans, scripts, different test documentation, executing tests, and troubleshooting bugs. They are also familiar with Salesforce functionality, and they are able to create automated tests, to build test frameworks, to ensure that applications on Salesforce platform are working correctly and consistently. Of course, even a tester without Salesforce experience can test Salesforce application. But let the developers who joined today our events ask themselves about how many defects related to Salesforce out-of-the-box functionality they are going to close as not a defect before they go crazy. So I won't say about how and when developers are needed. So it's the separate topic for the next time. And today we're speaking about the future of testing and testers. So the Salesforce tester is a person who knows what Salesforce is, but also knows how to test the software. It's a person who understands the out-of-the-box features of Salesforce in different clouds. and test the combination of custom and standard features, works with the test data using data management tools, designs the test strategy based on Salesforce specifics. Let's check what main skills should the Salesforce tester have. If we are speaking about the backbone of Salesforce testing, about the testing fundamentals, CRM specifics, software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service, and experience in different business domains, we can say that this quality engineer is able to test any CRM related functionality or platform. But if this person will have the knowledge and experience in Salesforce products and understand the Salesforce specifics, like how it's better to build the test strategy, how it's more effective to use the test automation, then we are speaking about the Salesforce tester. And how actually it's possible to gain the knowledge of Salesforce in testing. So testing fundamentals, as I have already said, is the backbone of Salesforce testing. And these can and should include the general knowledge of software as a service, functional, non-functional, and automation testing, business flows, advanced testing, because we're speaking about the testing business flows when we are speaking about the Salesforce testing, the understanding of CRM main scenarios, and how this knowledge we can apply during the testing. And of course, the test strategy design. The next step is to learn Salesforce products. The better way to learn this, I suggest to use the official sources like help Salesforce.com, developer Salesforce.com, and of course the trailhead of Salesforce, where we can get information on all new features about all the products, how they need to be configured, what are the main idea of those products. We can also use the detailed manuals on products provided by Salesforce itself. And the last step is to gain experience in testing Salesforce projects. Here, I would like to speak about attending events on topics like, for example, our today's talk, communicate with the experts, also joining the communities on related topics, learn case studies and success stories of different testers and different projects, and of course, to work on different Salesforce projects. If we know all these things, we can be named like Salesforce tester. Let's speak a bit about the trends in testing. In general, we have some trends like QA and operations, artificial intelligence and machine learning, security testing, data testing, IoT testing, and blockchain testing, chain testing. I have already said that the reason why these types of testing are in trend is the global digitalization of our society. So first of all, we need to know how to build the high security applications, and that's why we need to know how to test them. We need to know how to work with the data and how to work with different data management tools. And here I should also say about the automation testing, because automation testing nowadays has also different trends. And some of them are the mobile applications testing, because people more often use the mobile applications in different life spheres. It's low code automation tool. When we are speaking about low code development, we can and should also speak about low code automation tools, which give us possibility to create the automation tests faster and more effective for our short-term projects as well. And we also need to speak about the robotic automation. So the testers who have some experience in these spheres can more easier be involved in testing Salesforce applications as well. And let's speak some words about the major trends in Salesforce. So starting from the last years and till nowadays, the collaboration related tools like Slack First Customer 360, the pandemic raised the usage of Health Cloud in Salesforce. So it's also very popular cloud nowadays. We need to speak about data and system integration using, for example, MuleSoft, about Hyperforce public cloud and blockchain when we are speaking about the data. And Flow Orchestra is one of the examples of the low code and artificial intelligence using the Einstein. Also, during Dreamforce 2022, Genie was announced, and it is a hyperscale real-time data platform. And together with automated flow, intelligent Einstein, and real-time Genie, we become the 360 magical customer experience, which actually combines all popular features like low-code development, artificial intelligence, and real-time data transferring. So we see that Salesforce also in trend together with all these trended features. Speaking about the most popular Salesforce clouds, last year we can speak about the Sales Cloud, of course, the Basic Cloud, the Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, because the collaboration and marketing campaigns are more widely used, Experience Cloud, integrations together with MuleSoft, Einstein Analytics, Commerce Cloud, and of course, Health Cloud. Let's probably sum up what trends in Salesforce and what trends in quality can be combined. So when we are speaking about different Salesforce clouds, we need to speak about the Sales Cloud, for example, Health Cloud, Commerce Cloud, and other domain-related clouds. And QA who works on the projects with these Salesforce clouds need to gain knowledge and experience in domain and CRM testing, for sure, also with the mobile testing. So the specific of different business domains, the specifics of CRM, and specific of using different mobile devices. When we are speaking about marketing cloud, experience cloud, and integrations, we speak about the security testing, data analysis, and integration testing. So these are the skills for QA who wants to start or already started to work with these Salesforce clouds. And also, like a specific to test the IoT cloud of Salesforce, we need to know how to provide the IoT testing. So it's just the short examples of how we can use the experience and knowledge in testing when we're working on different Salesforce clouds. Also, this specific can include the quality operations. Um, Actually, the QA ops is a term used to describe the process of managing quality assurance and gives the possibility to work more effective together with creating the test plans and strategies. Using the test scalability is now in trend, and the example can be the um, architecture of Salesforce applications, which usually gives the possibility to create a big amount of test documentation and test cases that needs to be maintained. So test scalability helps to reduce these efforts. The integrated team, like operations together with developers and testers, the parallel testing and the automation. Uh, About the automation, we need to speak separately. And as we have the trends like low code development, and in order to reduce time to market, we also need to think about the low code test automation tools and how to build the effective automation test strategy. So the most popular tools who advertise themselves as the part of best practices in testing Salesforce applications are Prover, AxleQ, and many others. So they have the separate modules which helps to test the um, Salesforce applications as well as the web applications and other type of applications, but they're positioning themselves as the special tools for Salesforce. But I should say that speaking about the automation testing, we also need to speak firstly about the effective test strategy. So to understand the specific of Salesforce, that it is high configurable system, that we can have lots of changes, for example, after UAT. And we need to adjust also the automation testing strategy to all this. I won't say that we need to use only the low code test automation tools, because we also can use the code when creating the automation tests, but this will work only if the strategy will be created very thoughtful and it will be effective for project. Okay, so actually here's the bottom line of our overview. The idea is that never stop learning, and Salesforce is a great opportunity to grow your expertise in testing as well. So Salesforce is in trend, and you can also be in trend with Salesforce testing. So join communities and talk to experts, follow our agenda, and you can always draw valuable insights. Good, and now it's time to answer the questions.
All right. Thank you, Yelena. I believe it was quite informative for our audience. We have already a couple of questions. Let me read the first one. What is the technology of testing dynamic forms in Salesforce Lightning? How to make this process fast and easy for Q&A team, manual and automation QA team?
Good question. Thank you. So first of all, I would like to categorize the objective of the question. So dynamic forms are used for fast and easy record page configuration. So here, Salesforce is also in trend with the fast configuration and reducing time to market. Here, we as testers need to think of several moments. And first of all, it's the requirements. Um, I won't say here about the specific techniques because they are related to different projects and should be aligned to different projects. So first of all, we need to speak about the requirements because only well described and not often changeable requirements can be used for testing. That means that well thought out together with the product owners. The rapidly changing requirements and often changeable requirements uh, can cause the risks and problems either in functional manual testing and in automation testing as well. So the second point probably will be from QA part. It's that detailed documentation won't be very effective here. So I won't suggest to create test scenarios and test cases for each field. It's better to use like some kind of checklists or screenshot or matrices here, and it will reduce efforts and time for testing. And we need to understand that we provide checks, first of all, from the functional point of view, not to check separate fields and actions, but in scope of the business scenarios and testing the general business flows. And even sometimes it's not effective to test the layouts. It can be more effective to check the layouts during the UAT sessions together with our customers, because the customer can align the view of the record page if needed. And if we will start testing such elements during the sprint, for example, in general, testing actions, we will need more efforts than the customer will have during the UAT sessions. And of course, automation can be applied here also, but here we need to think more about using the tools like Provar or other low-code tools, which can be easier maintained when creating tests, and even finding the elements during the creating test scripts will be easier than the traditional way of creating automation tests using code. But anyway, speaking about like testing some specific features of Salesforce is quite complex topic, and so it's quite difficult to answer this topic today in short, but it's a really good topic for some technical talks. So don't hesitate to add your preferences in questions and answer section for this talk, and we will provide the separate talks for testing specific features of Salesforce. I hope I tried to answer the question. I hope I did it well. If not, please give some additional questions. We'll answer this.
Okay, thank you, Elena. I believe it was quite a comprehensive response. Okay, before I switch to the next question, just as a reminder for our audience that don't forget to address your questions, and Yelena will select the best question at the end of Q&A session, and the winner will get a special prize from our community. And I switch to the second question. What are the most common acceptance criteria for Salesforce testing?
Mm-hmm. So if to speak about acceptance criteria, I assume we are speaking about the acceptance criteria of the requirements under test. So probably Firstly, I will answer this part. And under acceptance criteria of the requirements for Salesforce testing, first of all, I will mention the business flows, because all configurations and customizations which are done to be sure that automation processes are work correctly. So they need to be tested as a general business flow. So the acceptance criteria is the description of each business scenario to be developed, and after they are developed, to be tested. Yeah, and we here also, when testing the business flow, we can use the knowledge of Salesforce specifics and make our testing more effective. Like, we understand which elements are custom, which elements are standard, and what is the proportion of customized and configured functionality. But in general, we are testing the business flow described for a particular system. In our case, it's based on Salesforce, to be ensured that this system is worked correctly according to the business needs of our customer.
All right, thank you. Uh, the next question, what would you name as the number one issue found as a result of testing?
So in scope of Salesforce testing, I would mention probably the issue related to permissions, because when we are testing the Salesforce applications, we also need to think about the multi-tenancy of the system. And in case of a project, it can be also in possibility of different users from different departments to work together in one platform, but within the different applications. So one of the major issues can be that if the permissions were set up not correctly to the users, we will have the possibility of this user with the wrong permissions to use the functions and features of different applications to which he doesn't need or not allowed to have access to. The first one. And the second one is related probably to the business domain, when we're speaking on, for example, financial domain or financial or banking, and we are working on the financial results on our application. We also need to think about the correct field types and correct, for example, formulas in field when we are if we are using such types of fields within the applications. Yeah, here I would also I need to mention that sometimes the people without Salesforce experience in testing start to create defects in the system for the out-of-the-box functionality. It can be applicable only in the way that, for example, we need to configure the business flow using the out-of-the-box features, and we are not and this feature was not correctly configured, but not to file defects for out-of-the-box functionality of Salesforce. Hopefully I answered the question.
Okay, good. I hope yes. Um, all right, then quite big question. Let me read it. Let's assume that you have a lot of objects with required fields. And to create each record of it, you need to fill in around 10 fields. Do you have any tricks on how to create these records and increase team productivity?
As I've understood correctly, it's about the creating the test data for testing. Could you please read once more?
Yes. Let's assume that you have a lot of objects with required fields. And to create each record of it, you need to fill in around 10 fields. Do you have any tricks on how to create these records and increase team productivity?
Mhm. So first of all, we need to know for which purposes we need to create this test data. The second point here is I would think about the using like data management tool to upload such records, and the other point here is to use automation scripts to create those records with different conditions or different values of fields. And we also can ask the developers to write the script to create such kind of test data. The other thing is if we need to compare those records, then for these purposes, we also have, so we can also use these special tools like data comparison tools within the browsers to check the Salesforce records, to check the metadata and data from different sandboxes, for example. Um, Yeah. So the general approaches I think I mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe you did. Okay, and the next question. As a QA, what are the key points to keep in mind while working on healthcare and life science domains with Salesforce technology?
Um, so first of all, I assume that when we are working on the project with healthcare domain, we will speak about like Health Cloud of Salesforce, first of all. But except of Salesforce specifics and the specifics of the healthcare related products of Salesforce, we also need to think about the specifics of healthcare sphere in particular location the product is related to. We need to speak about GDPR of this location if we are talking about the Europe location, for example, or other restrictions in using the data of as a result of our product. And we also need to think about the security testing because working with the healthcare domain is needed to be tested more carefully than some other domains, and the security testing can be applied as well. Mm, yeah, but from the Salesforce perspective, we need to know how the Sales Cloud works, what object and features it has, and how it can be integrated within the project with other system. I think probably that's it from the first answer.
Mm-hmm. Good, thank you. The next question. What is another open source automation tool quite suitable for Salesforce?
Mhm. Unfortunately, among the free automation tools for Salesforce, at the moment, I can only mention the Vividus framework based on uh, scenarios like Gherkin-like scenarios to create tests. So it helps to save time as the steps are already created. The only thing is to determine the elements of the page, and there is some specifics with Salesforce with it. And actually, the non-free automation tools have the same problems with the elements and with some Salesforce specifics. But Yeah, so like Vividus as an open source can be applied to testing Salesforce applications, but you need always to think about how it's better to apply this tool to your current project, um, to your test strategy, and to the general approach to test project. But you can try to use Vividus. It's quite easy to start use it, and it can be helpful for small projects for sure.
All right, good. The next question. How can we help in the design phase of Salesforce project to empower the creation of automated tests in regards of testing backend?
Mm, so, as I've understood, the idea of the question is how we can start using the automating tests as early as possible when starting the project. So, if so, we first of all need to analyze the product strategy of the project we are starting to work with, and analyze the development strategy as well. So, as I have already said today, if we develop faster, we need to test faster. So, if the development phase of the project will be quite short, we need to understand that it will also take time and effort to test the result of development. And we can say that with the automation tools, with the really effective automation strategy for the project, we can shorten the phase of testing. We can get more bugs an earlier phase, and then we can assure that the product will be of better quality. Then we will use only functional testing, and we will use only efforts of the manual testers. So nowadays, automation testing is not only the way to reduce efforts of manual testers, but it is the very effective way to test the application quite fast and in early stages. And even functional testers who learn how to use these low-code automation tools, for example, which are very effective when testing the um, applications like Salesforce or other software as a service applications, which can be configured and changed very easily by development team. So even functional testers can be very effective when using the automation during the project development phase, development and testing.
All right. Thank you, Irena. Thank you guys for addressing your questions. Moving to the next one. What test documentation is better to create for marketing cloud testing for journeys? Test cases, checklists, how to organize regression there?
Well, from my experience, one of the ways how to organize the testing on marketing clouds is not even the test cases, because as always, the test cases is documentation which need to be maintained. And not even the checklists. I will probably suggest to use more process diagrams with all the described conditions on the journeys, and also mm, the results of what we are expecting from these journeys. We need to speak more about the data testing as well here. And this is more effective to do, I suppose, with the checklists. Uh, and of course, we need to speak not only about the test documentation, like test scenarios, test cases, but also about the tools to be used during the marketing cloud testing. And together all this with the process diagrams, it can be not only the picture of those journeys, it can be and it should be the separate diagram created by better by the tester and reviewed by business analyst or from product owner, together with tools and approaches, different how to test the data as a result of the journey could bring the more um, could bring better effect than creating the test scenarios and the long, for example, end-to-end tests, because it takes time, it takes efforts, and need to be maintained.
Thank you, Elena. We are having a dozen more questions, guys. We will try to respond to some of them. If we don't respond to some of your questions right now, do not hesitate to join our Telegram channel, and we will provide all responses there. And right now, moving to the next question. What automation tools worked best for you for commerce, service, marketing clouds?
Um, so it's actually a very difficult question because personally, I have no experience on testing on using automation testing with marketing cloud. Um, so it depends on several factors. On first, how really the requirements are created and how often they are changed. Um, the next factor is so how fast we need to create automation tests and how often we need to run those tests. So anyway, from my point of view, nowadays we need to speak about some low-code automation tools. They have very like features and depends only on several differences between them, but I wouldn't recommend to use the traditional way of automation tests with the code here. And the first and the main reason here is because they need to be maintained, and this takes lots of effort from the automation team. And the general approach will be look like the manual QA creates the scenarios, and the automation QA creates the automation script according to these scenarios. But for the mentioned clouds, it's not always effective to create the traditional test scenarios with all the conditions described there. So it's more like the approach of testing logic and business flow together. So it's very difficult sometimes to create the scenario or the bulk of scenarios to cover the feature. From my point of view, let's try to use one of those automation tools described on the presentation. I think it will be a way to use it effectively for the mentioned cloud.
Okay, good, thank you. The next question. Do you have any life hacks for SMS testing? Do you know any services that provide free demo phone numbers for testing or any other tools that can be used for this?
So the tools can be used like mock up the numbers, so digital testing of SMS or calls, with the virtual accounts um, for the numbers, for the call numbers. Um, this is quite good topics for some of the other talks. So to have the experience and to get some experts on this sphere. So from my personal experience, we just used the digital number to check the SMS function from the Marketing Cloud, and yeah, how to make it more effective and how to build a more effective strategy on this. I will need to discover. This is a good question.
Okay, any question for the next TikTok? Good, good. Okay, the last question for today. The rest of the questions will be addressed in Telegram channel. So the question. Thanks for the presentation. How do persuade Q&A engineers to get into Salesforce? Which advantages of specializing in Salesforce testing is important and engineers will be fond of, will enjoy?
Okay, so first of all, why we need to persuade somebody to join the Salesforce technology? It's more like the way of a try. So if not tried, person never will think of if he is going to continue working with Salesforce or any, for example, CRM system or not. But Salesforce is quite trendy technology. It is very popular to use the CRM nowadays because we know that um, the digital services are more in demand nowadays, and the companies need to track their clients somewhere. So the better way to track the clients is the CRM system, and it is already well developed, and uh, there is a quite huge number of CRM systems to start working with. But Salesforce gives the possibility not only to track the customers, but to build the collaboration with the clients, um, give the possibility to add different modules for example, different business domains, different marketing campaigns. So whatever the company needs for its business. So if a Salesforce, so if a tester would like to learn something new, what is in trend, if the tester would like to be in trend nowadays, it can at least try to test Salesforce. But the more we work with Salesforce products, so personally, I wish to learn more about those Salesforce products, and Salesforce present more products, and you wish to learn these products as well. So let's give the possibility, not to persuade, but a possibility just to try to work with Salesforce project. And then it will be like more easier to learn for this tester to learn the specifics, to learn the products, to learn the special tools, and it's very, very interesting. So just try.
Okay, thank you, Elena. Um, all right, guys, that's it for today. As I said before, we will respond to the rest of the questions in our Telegram channel, and please expect the winner name also in our Telegram channel. We will review all the questions and choose the best one. And as I said, the winner will get special prize from Salesforce United Community. Um, Thank you, Irena, so much for your insightful tech talk. Thank you, guys, for your questions. Um, Thank you once again. Please follow us in our social media channels, subscribe to the channels, and wait for the updates and the news. And also, don't forget to rate Tech Talk and leave your thank you page to Yelena and Salesforce United community. Thank you so much, guys. See you next time.
Thank you for joining.